Hey guys, this is Mike Phillips from Rendition Paintball. I'm going to show you how to install the new Rendition magnet trigger kit for the Die series guns. A couple things you're going to need is your Allen key set, a pair of needle nose pliers, and your Rendition magnet trigger kit. The kit comes with 4 pieces. It comes with your super glue, it comes with your set screw, a small magnet, and a large magnet. You're going to want to install this at your home, and it's going to take about 15 minutes. First things you want to do here is remove your regulator and go ahead and remove your grips. And now what you want to do is remove the 3 screws that are here located around your trigger. The 3 screws here are your pre-travel, your post-travel, and your trigger pin. And set those aside. And now the next thing you're going to want to remove are your 2 grip frame screws. You have one in the back and one in the front. Pay very close attention. The one in the back is a very short screw and the one in the front is a long screw. Now that you have your 2 grip frame screws removed, what you want to do is gently pull your frame away from your body and slide your trigger up and out of the frame, and also your trigger spring. The next step is to remove your stock tension screw. Now this can be a little bit tricky because Die has a tendency to Loctite these in place, which is why you will need your needle nose pliers. Go ahead and set your stock parts aside, and what you're going to want to do is go ahead and take out your Rendition magnet trigger kit. Separate the 2 magnets from the tension screw and place a small drop of super glue on the small magnet and glue it to the set screw. And let that sit for about 5 minutes. Given the glue a little bit of time to dry, go ahead and take your Allen key, thread it through the trigger, and screw your set screw into your trigger. You want to leave just about all of the magnet sticking out of the trigger. Now comes the hardest part of the trigger kit installation, is getting the polarity right. What you're going to do is grab your large magnet and start bringing it close to your trigger. You're going to feel it repel. If it's repelling, that's the correct orientation. Once you figure out the correct orientation, go ahead and take the smallest Allen key that you have, preferably a .050, stick that end to the magnet, take a small drop of super glue, put it on the magnet, and then set it into the trigger frame. Now you're going to want to be patient here. What I've found is that typically the magnet will hold the Allen key in place as it's drying, and that will hold the magnet in place in your frame. So what you're just going to want to do is let this sit for about 5 or 10 minutes until the glue dries. Then you can safely remove your small Allen key without pulling the magnet away from the body. So give this about 10 minutes to dry, and we'll be back to remove the Allen key. After you've given the large magnet a little bit of time to dry, you should be able to safely remove the Allen key without pulling the magnet away from the gun. Now that your back magnet is in place, you can now go ahead and install your trigger. Now be careful to make sure that your trigger goes in front of the micro switch. You don't want to bend or break this flap off of your micro switch. Okay, first screw you're going to want to install is the trigger post screw. Now some of these are a little bit tricky. Sometimes if you tighten them down, they will cause the trigger to bind a little bit. So just make sure that you test your trigger before you tighten this all the way down. The next screw you're going to want to install is your post travel screw. Now what you're going to want to do is you don't want to pull the trigger any further than you have to. So keep screwing this down until you don't hear the micro switch click anymore, and then back it up about a half a turn. Okay, and then once that's installed, then you can just go ahead and install your pre-travel screw and keep tightening it down until you get the desired length of your trigger pull. Okay. And if you've done everything correctly so far, you should be able to feel how much faster and more responsive your trigger is now. Trigger installed and set up properly. Now what you're going to want to go ahead and do is install your frame screws. Keep in mind that there is a long frame screw and a short frame screw. The long frame screw goes in the front and the short frame screw goes in the back. As you're tightening down your trigger frame screws, please be very careful that you have not pinched any wires running from your eyes or your solenoid to your board. It'll be a very costly mistake, so please be very careful when installing your frame back onto your gun that you have not pinched any wires and that all of these wires are free to move about. After you've tightened your frame down, go ahead and install your grip. Go ahead and install your reg back on. Turn your gun on and test it, and you should be good to go. I really hope you enjoy this kit. Thank you very much for supporting Rendition Paintball.